Before we start lesson 12, which is going to be talking about graphs and lines again, we need to do a quick lesson on rigid motions. You'll learn more about these but for the meantime, just a quick overview. So a rigid motion is a movement that changes where a shape or figure is, but it doesn't change the size or shape of the figure. So what that means is we're moving things around, but the shape stays exactly the same. So we've got three different rigid motions, also known as transformations. Nuance not necessary. So the first of these is a translation. A translation slides each point the same distance and direction. So all you're doing is taking that shape and sliding it along. Then we have a reflection, which flips the figure across a line of reflection. So this is like you're looking in a mirror. And what you'll notice is that everything is kind of the opposite in this, but the shape is still the same, the size, everything is the same. And finally, we have a rotation, which turns a figure about a fixed point called the center of rotation. So this is a little turn, a little twist. And those are your three rigid motions. We'll talk more about these down the line, but the one that's important for today is translation, which is just that we're sliding something, we're moving it up, down, left, right, moving it around in some manner, but nothing is changing about it. So this last part is the part that's really important for this lesson. If a figure can be mapped onto another figure, so that's just saying if you can move it and they overlap perfectly. If a figure can be mapped onto another figure with only a series of rigid motions, so rotations, reflections, translations, and nothing else, then the figures are congruent. And in case you've never heard this word congruent before, congruent means they have the same angle measures and side lengths. It's simply saying that they are the same size. So if we can slide a figure so it overlaps with another figure, they're congruent, the size is the same. So if we were to say to take this triangle here and move it over this triangle here, what you'll see is they perfectly overlap. They're the exact same size. That means, important for today's lesson, that their height and their base is the same. Means their height to base ratio is the exact same, which means if it was a slope triangle, the slope is the same. On the other hand, if you have two triangles that aren't congruent, can't be mapped, I slide this, oh no, it doesn't fit. That means they aren't congruent, which means that the height and the base aren't the same. So that's all you need to know for today, is that rigid motions move figures around, and that if a figure can be mapped onto another figure with only a series of rigid motions, then the figures are congruent, which means they have the same angle measures and, very important for today, same side lengths. And now you can go on to complete lesson 12.